Here's a video on how to make your outdoor house lights stand out more. So here's my outdoor lights to my garage. And what I've wanted to do for a while is paint these so that they have more contrast against the brick and they don't blend in so much. So I notice a lot of outdoor lights are painted black and it really doesn't contrast with the brick. What I'm gonna do is match mine to this stone here so that there's more contrast. You can kind of see these a little bit better. They'll stand out and add to the architectural value of the house. I'm gonna match it with this Rust-Oleum heirloom white, and this is about as close as I could find to this brick color. So here's another outdoor light of mine, and you can just see over time these things get dingy and the paint wears off, and then they just don't really stand out and pop like they should. First thing you want to do is find the lighting breaker in your panel and cut that off. After you determine the power is off to your light, you can go ahead and start disassembling. With the light removed from the wall, I like to go ahead and just check with the voltage detector just to make sure no power is on. So just to show you what it'll do if there is power. Now you can disconnect these wires so you can take this thing off the wall. As you can see, there's a lot of spider webs, a lot of bugs, so there's going to be a lot of cleanup going on. At my house, we get a lot of mud daubers like you see here, and guess what? They decided to build one inside my light. Be sure you put your wire nuts back on, and I'm going to go ahead and clean all this up with a vacuum. You can now start the process of cleaning and prep for paint. Just be sure if you use any water that you give this thing time to dry out. You definitely don't want to connect it back up if anything is wet. So most lights, or at least my light, will come apart, and that'll make cleaning a lot easier. Here's a closer look at the mud dauber nest. So I prefer to do this outside when I clean, and what you want to do is just knock all these main webs and bugs that are in here off, and then what you can do is get a moist cloth and come back and wipe this surface down nice and clean. I decided to go ahead and disassemble this whole head assembly, and that way I could get the electrical components off and cleaned up, because there's a lot of mud dauber nest on here also. And then these parts, I can go ahead and soak these in water and really clean them nice and good before I paint. So for the bottom part, I want to get these pieces of glass out, that way I can clean it really well. What I'll need to do is remove these screws here, here, and here, and then those glass pieces will slide out. So I'm going to use a sponge and just really clean the surface up. So all my pieces are clean and dry. Now it's time for me to take these pieces outside and paint. So I've made an area where I can paint outside with these project boards that I had extra. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this piece as a test piece to make sure everything goes good with painting. Here's my first pass with the spray paint, and what you want to do is just lightly spray this. You don't want to put it on very thick because you're going to do multiple layers of paint. I try to do at least 5 layers, and you want to wait, I would say, at least 5 to 10 minutes in between so it'll dry, and that'll depend on your weather. So this is about my 5th pass here, and you can see I got plenty of coverage. I'm going ahead and starting the other pieces, and then when I'm all done and everything's dry fully, I'm going to assemble it. Got all my parts fully painted. Now I can start putting things together. So one modification I'm making is I'm adding a window screen material here to the bottom, because as I showed you before, I was getting mud daubers getting inside, so this will keep the bugs out of inside the light. Alright guys, so I got my light all painted and ready. All I have to do now is wire it back up and mount it. So with it mounted, I'm going to test the light. I'll put the cover back on, and then the last thing I want to do is seal all the way around this area here with silicone. Here it is. I really like the way this turned out. I like the color and how it contrasts with the brick. I mean, yes, it is a lighter color and it'll probably show more like dirt and dust and bugs, but I can keep it cleaned. A couple of the improvements that I did was I sealed around this area where it mounts against the brick. When I pulled it off, there was a lot of stuff inside the conduit housing there. And then underneath here, I added the screen, and that was to keep any bugs out inside the light area, which there seemed to be a lot, and then even a mud dauber nest. So thanks for watching my video. I'm looking forward to doing some more. Now I've got to go to the front and finish those other 3 lights, and then I'll be done.